From Tallahassee, Florida, this is the 2020 Law Day Celebration, featuring keynote speaker Martha Barnett, awards presentations, and recognition of pro bono attorneys from the 2nd Judicial Circuit.
Welcome to the 2020 Law Day Celebration. My name is Leslie Powell-Boudreau, and I am the Executive Director of Legal Services of North Florida.
And I'm Carrie Litherland, the Executive Director of the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee. We are both nonprofit civil legal aid organizations which serve low-income and vulnerable individuals and families in our community. While we might do this a little bit differently, we share an intertwined mission to provide access to justice and the legal system, including through our local legal community and our pro bono volunteer attorneys.
Today, we're coming to you virtually, using technology to come to you and still share that message as we honor the 19th Amendment and the pro bono attorneys who serve our community. We are still practicing social distancing and all the restrictions here. All of our speakers are safe, and we're making sure that everyone is healthy and protected through this process.
We want to thank our board of directors, our staff, and our volunteers for their continued support and commitment to making sure that poverty does not deny access to justice. And with that, we'd like to turn it over to our board presidents.
Thank you, Carrie. My name is Brandy Thomas. I am the 2020 president of the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee. I would like to first start by thanking Kevin Forstoffel for his hard work that he did and was able to do with Legal Aid Foundation as he was president last year. I would also like to say that I'm super excited that this program is continuing in the midst of what's going on. Law Day is extremely important in that it allows LAF to partner with LSNF to recognize our pro bono and volunteer attorneys. I encourage each of you, as I have done, to volunteer your time to the community in the 2nd Judicial Circuit. Thank you once again for being a part of our day. I'd like to turn it over to Yvonne. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Good day. I'm Yvonne Whitehead, President of Legal Services of North Florida. For more than 4 decades, Legal Services has provided individuals and families across the Panhandle with free legal aid and representation. Today, we are here with our partners, the Legal Aid Foundation and FSU College of Law, to celebrate Law Day and recognize law students and attorneys from the 2nd Judicial Circuit who have volunteered their time and expertise to provide legal assistance to those who need it most. With the recent onset of COVID-19, the most vulnerable members of our community need our help even more. At Legal Services, we expect to see increases in cases of domestic violence, human trafficking, and more than ever, people in our community are going to face tough economic challenges and hardships that can only be solved through legal advice and representation. We are preparing our staff and attorneys for the second wave of this crisis to hit our communities. And in many ways, our attorneys and volunteers serve as second responders in times like these. Our social safety net will be tested like never before, and I believe the work we do in the legal community will have a profound impact on how quickly we can recover and keep the social safety net in place for many of our local residents. I hope that hearing the words and stories of other attorneys, judges, and volunteers will inspire you to find the courage to become a pro bono attorney and help LSNF and LAF provide these services during these unprecedented times. Thank you. And now, let's hear about the Pro Bono Transformation Grant.
Hi, my name is Carrie Boyd, and it is my honor to be the Pro Bono Transformation Director for the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee and Legal Services of North Florida Pro Bono Transformation Project. This project came about as a result of key leadership from Leslie Powell-Boudreau and Carrie Litherland in 2018 and is funded by the Florida Bar Foundation. Key objectives of this program are to enhance the overall parity and technology between the two agencies. We are also striving for an enhanced volunteer attorney experience, as well as a no wrong door policy of access for our clients. We are also seeking to reduce administrative time for our staff because we want to further devote those resources to better serving our clients. And finally, we just hope that overall this program throughout the Second Circuit will enhance turnout and recruitment efforts for our agencies. Thank you again to our Guiding Coalition. The Guiding Coalition was founded in 2018 and is composed of members of this community who are judges, leaders in the Circuit Clerk's Office, volunteer attorneys, and other staff members of LAF and LSNF who are committed to ensuring the best pro bono service delivery model possible here in Leon and Gadsden counties. I thank all members of the Guiding Coalition for their continued commitment to this important work.
Thank you, Carrie, for sharing more about the Pro Bono Transformation Project. We're very excited about what's to come. And now we welcome our keynote speaker, the wonderful Martha Barnett. Martha is a former president of the American Bar Association and chair of its House of Delegates. Barnett was elected president of the ABA in 2000, only the third woman to head the ABA in its history. Locally, Martha is the chair of the board of the Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. She is a graduate of Tulane University and the University of Florida Levin College of Law. Martha, now retired as a partner in the law firm of Holland & Knight, was the first female attorney hired by the firm, where she has practiced law for 40 years. Martha served alongside First Lady Hillary Clinton on the inaugural ABA Commission on Women in the Profession. Considered a groundbreaker for her work championing minorities, Martha was a member of the legal team that negotiated a legislative settlement for survivors of the 1923 Rosewood Massacre. In 2004, Florida Trend named Martha one of the most influential Floridians. In 2006, she was named the National Law Journal as one of the 100 most influential lawyers in America. Thank you, Martha, for being with us today.
Leslie, thank you for that warm introduction. I am Martha Barnett, and I am pleased to be part of the Law Day 2020 celebration. Even though the global pandemic requires social distancing, thanks to the leadership of Legal Services of North Florida, the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee, and the FSU College of Law, we can still come together. Virtual may become the new norm, but this effort was extraordinary. For more than 60 years, May 1st has been the day set aside on our national calendar to celebrate the rule of law and the role of lawyers in protecting the freedoms that we, the people, share in our constitutional democracy. Law Day is traditionally built around a theme. Despite the unimaginable impact the coronavirus is having on all aspects of our daily lives, this year's theme is not, "Where has all the toilet paper gone?" More appropriately, it is your vote, your voice, our democracy. Under this bold banner, and in awe of the suffragists, we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the adoption of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, the constitutional guarantee that the most basic right of citizenship, the right to vote, shall not be denied or abridged on account of sex. Each year, we celebrate the lawyers and law students who provide pro bono legal services to those in our community who need it, often desperately. In doing so, they become the voice of the underrepresented and give meaning to the constitutional promise of equal access to justice. Thank you, thank you. As I began to think about my remarks, I realized how little I knew about the suffragists, or about their decades of life and death struggles, or about Elizabeth Cady Stanton, or Susan B. Anthony, or really about any of the women, and yes, the men, whose commitment to equality paved the path to the future that I inherited. I learned that Florida did not ratify the 19th Amendment until May 13, 1969. I remember my grandmother, Zaru, who came of age in the 1920s, often talking about the importance of voting. You must register to vote, she told me, and never miss an election. She died long before I thought to ask her why it was so important, but I did register. I always vote. She was right. And I am not alone. Today, women are more likely to vote than men. The suffragist movement continues to be inspiring and worthy of a centennial celebration, not because women were given the right to vote, but because women demanded that right and were successful. There is much more to do. The right to vote did not give women equal rights. For constitutional equality, we need the Equal Rights Amendment. Their legacy is also a reminder that protecting the right to vote requires ongoing vigilance. Voter purges, strict ID cards, reduced early voting sites, closing polls, delays, and ever more creative voter suppression techniques are proliferating. The dispute in Florida, stemming from the 2018 adoption of a constitutional amendment relating to the voting rights of some felons, is a classic current example. Approved by about 65% of the voters, Amendment 4, as it has become known, automatically restores the voting rights of an estimated 1.4 million Floridians, mostly African Americans of limited means, who have completed the terms of their sentences. In the next legislative session, a law was passed to implement the terms of the amendment. The bill, controversial from the start, required that citizens with felony records pay all court costs and fines before they could regain their right to vote. The bill's sponsors justified it as a clarification, while it was decried by others as an unconstitutional poll tax. The dispute has worked its way through the state and federal courts, with the most recent ruling from the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals holding that Florida's law violates the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution. Further appeals are possible, and it is not certain if there will be a final resolution before the 2020 presidential elections. Wisconsin is another current example of election disruption. It will be some time before anyone forgets the pictures of the long lines of voters wearing face masks as they waited hours to cast their ballots in person because the state's political leadership would not extend absentee voting. It is often the lawyers who come forward in situations like this. We celebrate each of you on Law Day, those who have volunteered throughout the year, as well as those who have stepped up in special ways since COVID-19 became a part of our vocabulary. Your commitment to equal justice has never been more important than in these uncertain times, when the health and well-being of our fellow citizens are so uncertain. You have done so much and done it so effectively. Some have advocated for court rules to help people stay housed and not become homeless. Some have helped with the increased demand for advance directives. Others, perhaps for the first time, have contacted legal services or the Legal Aid Foundation and asked, "How can I help?" Still others have agreed to provide advice through the helpline. We know the needs will continue to increase as workers are denied unemployment help or even access to the application process, or when victims of domestic violence need help, but they cannot reach out because their abuser is now always there, or when a small business owner is denied a loan or other assistance that would help them stay afloat. We know that many of you are impacted as well, but that you will continue to give back, using your legal skills and the other unique gifts each of you have. We are living through an historic moment. This is a time of unprecedented challenges, even to the very stability of our democracy. Everyone has been impacted. Nothing will ever be the same. Some things will be better. We have choices, and historically, we have chosen the greater good. The lasting symbol of 2020 will not be a roll of toilet paper. Rather, it will be the hand-sewn face mask made with whatever materials were on hand. When it became clear that there was a critical shortage of personal protective equipment, women from all over the country spontaneously started making masks, sharing with friends and family, and providing them to healthcare workers and first responders. They tell the story of volunteers who unselfishly give what they can for the greater good. Those masks reflect the soul of America. They are a visible symbol of we the people and a fitting reminder of the enduring legacy of the successes of the suffragists 100 years ago in 1920. Congratulations to all of you and my appreciation for the work you have done.
My name is Maggie Ozorowski, and I'm the current president of Tallahassee Women Lawyers, and TWL is thrilled to be a sponsor, once again, of this year's Law Day celebration, especially in light of the fact that the theme of this year's Law Day is celebrating the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment giving American women the right to vote. This year, TWL has bringing attention to and educating our community regarding the importance and the significance of the 19th Amendment to not just women in this country, but also women lawyers. And so TWL is so proud to join with Legal Services of North Florida, the Legal Aid Foundation, and FSU College of Law to celebrate our local legal community, and particularly the local attorneys who dedicate their time and their expertise to providing pro bono legal services to people who otherwise would not be able to afford them. So won't you please join me in thanking all the sponsors of our 2020 Law Day celebration.
I am honored and have the esteemed pleasure of presenting the Capital City Bar President Council's 2020 Richard W. Irvin Equal Justice Award. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the presidents of the Capital City Bar Council. Florida Government Bar, C. Ian Garland. William H. Stafford American Inn of Court, Lori Rowe. Tallahassee Bar Association, Greg Noonan. Tallahassee Barristers Association, Tamisha Brooks. Tallahassee Chapter of the Federal Bar Association, Richard Greenberg. Tallahassee Women Lawyers, Maggie Ozorowski. Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, Tallahassee Chapter, Jessica Yeary. And Florida Association of Trial Lawyers, Tallahassee Chapter, Maria Santoro. As many of you know, the Irvin Equal Justice Award is presented each year to an outstanding individual who has made significant contributions to the legal justice system in Florida by promoting diversity, professionalism, and mentorship. This year's recipient, Justice Major B. Harding, truly exemplifies the significance of this award. Justice Major B. Harding was appointed to the Florida Supreme Court in 1991 and served as the Chief Justice from July 1998 through June of 2000. Upon his retirement from the court in 2002, he returned to the practice of law in the Second Judicial Circuit as a shareholder with Owsley McMullen. In 1970, he was appointed Circuit Judge of the Fourth Judicial Circuit, where he served until his appointment to the Supreme Court of Florida in 1991. Justice Harding was a founding member of the Chester Bedell Inn of Court in Jacksonville, past president of the William H. Stafford Inn of Court in Tallahassee, and former ex officio board member of the American Inns of Court. In addition to serving as the mentor to hundreds of law students and attorneys, Justice Harding has served as a faculty member of the Florida Judicial College since 1984 and as a dean from 1984 to 1992. Throughout his career, he has not only contributed to many causes of equality, he has made it a priority to mentor and support others. I would like to close by thanking Justice Harding for always making it a priority to serve our community and being a consistent supporter of the Legal Aid Foundation's work to provide assistance to low-income families. He has written personal thank you letters to pro bono attorneys and continues to encourage young lawyers to take pro bono cases. He is truly a champion of equal access to justice. Thank you, Justice Harding. You are most deserving of this award.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The receipt of this award is a highlight of my career, and I consider it to be the icing on a cake of my professional career that started in June of 1960. That's almost 60 years ago. I was in the Army and came down from Fort Benning to be sworn into the bar. And there's a picture of my group being sworn into the bar hanging in the Lawyers Lounge at the Supreme Court, and standing right next to me is Justice Leander Shaw. We shared many times together in Jacksonville and also in Tallahassee on the Supreme Court. But after my time in the service and after prosecuting in the criminal court there in Jacksonville, I went into the private practice of law in 1964. My father-in-law was an attorney and a founder of the legal aid in Jacksonville. He told me as I went into the private practice of law that it was a requirement of those practicing law in Jacksonville to sign up for legal aid. I don't know who instituted the requirement, but I followed his advice and served for many years, a number of years, serving legal aid clients until I went on the bench in 1968. In 1968 and years, I had the privilege of being involved in judicial education. I was involved with the Gender Bias Study Commission, and one of the highlights of my professional life was the time I had the opportunity to preside over the 50th anniversary, while I was Chief Justice, the 50th anniversary of Virgil Hawkins filing a lawsuit to desegregate the law schools in Florida. And that was successful, although it took close to 10 years to do it. But I was privileged to know Justice Ervin, and I was privileged to know him personally. And after we moved to Tallahassee, I would periodically have lunch with him. And I recently found a clipping from the Democrat about his 90th birthday in 1995. And it was a picture of me and Justice Grimes with Justice Ervin at his birthday. So I can tell you that this honor is remarkably wonderful to me and to my family, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to receive it.
It is my honor and privilege to introduce Dean Erin O'Hara O'Connor of FSU College of Law. Dean O'Connor is a renowned scholar in areas of conflicts and arbitration, and she joined us in 2016 after serving as department chair of the Law and Behavior program at Vanderbilt College of Law. She is a magna cum laude graduate of Georgetown University. We want to thank Dean O'Connor for all of her support for the Pro Bono Transformation Grant Project. She has supported us from the very beginning and has worked closely with Sabrina Rodriguez de Conti, who is our first ever law student coordinator, serving both LAF, LSNF, and the FSU College of Law. I want to take a moment to specifically recognize Sabrina and thank her for all of her hard work. She has been a champion for our clients and a champion for this process as we work to further enhance our pro bono systems and our outreach with the College of Law. Thank you, Sabrina. And now, I turn to Dean O'Connor and the FSU College of Law as they recognize their students for their exemplary work on behalf of pro bono clients.
I'm the Dean of Florida State's College of Law. Every year, our students engage in a broad number of pro bono projects to aid the communities in which we are a part. All students graduating from Florida State College of Law must complete at least 20 hours of pro bono service in order to receive their JD degree. But every year, literally dozens of graduating students earn at least twice that amount. That is, they spend at least 40 hours engaged in pro bono service activities. For every student who has performed at least 40 hours, a certificate is given to the student to honor and to recognize the extraordinary service. But this year, in addition to that certificate, thanks to Legal Services of North Florida, each of you will be receiving a challenge coin. I don't know if you could see it. A challenge coin. It will be mailed to you with your certificates.
My name is Shannon Anderson. I did my pro bono hours at the Department of Health in the Emergency Action Unit.
I'm Barbara Andrade. I did my pro bono hours at the Orlando Center for Justice. It's a nonprofit immigration law firm.
My name is Allison Barquette. I did my pro bono work just up the street at the courthouse for the 2nd Judicial Circuit.
I'm Lauren Brooker. I did my pro bono hours at the Leon County Public Defender's Office.
My name is Ryan Cologne, and I did my pro bono hours with the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program.
Hey, my name is Daniela Donoso, and I participated in the Alternative Spring Break, my first year at law school, and then I also volunteered with the Human Trafficking Court at the Queens Criminal Court in New York.
Hi, my name is Karina Flores. I did my pro bono at the FSU Law Center's Children's Advocacy Clinic.
Hi, my name is Camille Infantolino, and I did my pro bono work at the James Madison Institute, a nonprofit think tank.
Hi, my name is Ben Lagos, and I did my pro bono hours at the United States District Court for the Middle District of Florida.
Hi, I'm Katie Messa. I did some of my hours at the 2nd Judicial Circuit with Allison, and most of my hours with the American Civil Liberties Union of Florida.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Osborne. I did most of my pro bono hours with the Legal Aid of Tallahassee's mobile clinic and also with FSU Center for Advancement of Human Rights.
Hi, my name is Nicole P., and I did my pro bono hours at the Legal Services of North Florida.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Perillo, and I did my pro bono hours at the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
Hi, my name is Alex Papuro, and I did my pro bono hours at the Capital Habeas Unit for the Federal Public Defender's Office of the Northern District of Florida.
Hi, my name is Taylor Schock, and I perform my pro bono hours at the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
My name is Eleanor Sills, and I did my pro bono hours at the Court of Appeals of Georgia.
Hi, my name is Michaela Taylor. I did my pro bono hours at Florida State University judging undergraduate mock trial competitions.
Hi, my name is Katie Van Dyke, and I did my pro bono hours at the Superior Court of New Jersey in the Criminal Division.
Hi, my name is Amanda Varone, and I did my pro bono hours in the Office of the Public Defender here in the 2nd Judicial Circuit.
Each year at graduation, we have an award that is given to the student who has earned, the graduating student who's earned the largest number of pro bono hours. And the Blaise Gamba Award is an award that is given in memory of a 2006 graduate, Blaise Gamba, who at the point in time in her graduation had performed a record number of hours of pro bono community service. This year, I'm proud to recognize Catherine Mesa, who has earned the Blaise Gamba Award. Katie, as we know her, has completed more than 450 hours of pro bono service. As she's let you know, most of that work was performed at ACLU of Florida, but she also did substantial service, another 100 hours in the Second Judicial Circuit. Katie is, as you know, very dedicated to pro bono service as well as public interest work. And she's earned those hours at the same time that she's been a very dedicated student leader, taking on leadership positions in various co-curricular and student organizations this year. Katie, I understand that you have the award. Is that right?
I do. Thank you. I do have it. It's very nice, very pretty, and very touching, even virtually. Thank you, Dean O'Connor and Dean Benavides and everyone else that was a part of picking this award. And thank you so much for even having this recognition for all of us that have put in the hours that, unfortunately, the situation, we're not able to have a formal ceremony, but thank you for having this virtual ceremony. And as you said, I worked at the ACLU of Florida, and I still work with them throughout this year, and I hope to eventually find a career with an organization like the ACLU or some other public interest organization. And I wrote even in my application for law school that I wanted to get my JD to help people, either a person or a group that feels that their voice is weakened, silenced, or neglected. And I still feel that way. And I really hope that I can find a job that's as fulfilling as doing these pro bono hours has been. And thank you guys. Thank you.
Katie, thank you very much for your leadership. To all the students who joined us today, thank you for your dedication to pro bono service. We hope that you continue your dedication as you go on in your legal careers. I wish we could congratulate you in person, but thank you very much. Thank you to Legal Services of North Florida and the Legal Aid Foundation for co-hosting this event with us. And I hope to see all of you in person soon.
Next on our program is Benjamin Crump to present the Parks and Crump Thurgood Marshall Award. I first met Ben when one of my own clients living in foster care needed guidance with a wrong done to him. Ben's compassion and clarity were just what was needed. These traits are what leads Ben to represent clients in some of the most important and contentious cases of our time, taking a place in legal history with his pursuit of justice. His role in the Trayvon Martin and Martin Lee Anderson boot camp cases shows a legacy built around the idea that the Constitution applies to everyone and at every level of society. Ben has broken barriers, serving as the first African American president of the Federal Bar Association for the Northern District of Florida and the first African American chairman of the Florida State University College of Law Board of Directors. He's received significant recognition for his service. He is named as one of the National Trial Lawyers' top 100 lawyers and Ebony Magazine's Power 100 Most Influential African Americans. He received the National Urban League's Whitney Young Award, AKA's Eleanor Roosevelt Award, the NAACP Thurgood Marshall Award, and the SCLC's Martin Luther King Servant Leader Award. Ben received his undergraduate and law degrees from Florida State University. Ben is heavily involved in the community, having previously endowed scholarships to FAMU, Livingston College, FSU, and Bethune-Cookman for minority law students. Ben has also provided leadership as president of the Legal Services of North Florida Board of Directors. Thank you, Ben, for joining us today.
Hi, I'm attorney Ben Crump, and I want to say thank you to Leslie Powell and the Legal Services of North Florida for all they do for our community. I'm here again to present the Parks and Crump Thurgood Marshall Judicial Excellence Award. Now more than ever at this time, during the coronavirus crisis, we have to make certain that we're providing access to courts, even though it is a situation where people can't come to the courthouse steps. We need dedicated legal service professionals to be able to make sure their constitutional rights are not trampled on. We also need to have a very robust and dignified judiciary, just like in the mantra of Justice Thurgood Marshall, who absolutely believed that the Constitution was the right of every American citizen. He said in his now famous bicentennial speech during the celebration of the 200th anniversary of the Constitution's signing, that the basis of the American Constitution is simply this, that a black baby born to a black mother, the most uneducated black mother, the most inarticulate black mother, the most impoverished black mother, has the same exact rights as a white baby born to a white mother, the most educated white mother, the most articulate white mother, the most affluent white mother, just by virtue of that baby drawing its first breath as an American. Now, Justice Marshall said, I know that's not the case in America today, but I challenge anybody from saying that's not a goal worth fighting for. I challenge anybody from saying that's not what makes America the great beacon of hope and justice for all the world to marvel. So when we stand up for the Trayvon Martins of the world, but more importantly, when we stand up for the unknown Trayvon Martins of the world, when we stand up for what my grandmother called the least of these, what we're really doing is helping America live up to its creed. What we're really doing is helping America be the great beacon of hope and justice for all the world to marvel. But most importantly, what we are doing is helping America be America for all Americans. And so it is in that vein of Justice Thurgood Marshall, I am very honored to present the Parks and Crump Thurgood Marshall Judicial Excellence Award to Judge Frank Allman, a man who I've come to know over the years and respect very much. He has always been there for all the citizens. He hails from Gaston County, Florida, that we know is the only majority-minority county in the state of Florida. And he has always treated each and every citizen with the dignity and respect that they deserve when they come before the bar. I am so very proud. I think about those times with my good friend Lisa Park when you were a state attorney and how you worked to make sure justice was dispensed equally amongst the citizens of the 2nd Judicial Circuit. We're so very proud to have you now as a judge on the bench for the 2nd Judicial Circuit, continuing to guarantee all of those who have been marginalized and disenfranchised have relief when they come before the courts and you preside in that courtroom. Darrell Parks and I could not be more elated to say congratulations and continue the good work.
Thank you, Ben. I am humbled and honored to receive the Parks and Crump Thurgood Marshall Award for Judicial Excellence. Justice Marshall was a champion for justice as a lawyer and as a member of the judiciary. He was living, breathing evidence that as lawyers and judges, we can always do more when it comes to service. Ben Crump and Darrell Parks, as well as the many dedicated men and women of Legal Services of North Florida and the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee, are also examples of what it means to do more. These are frightening and uncertain times. In the last few weeks, all of us have had to confront our vulnerability. The COVID-19 pandemic will eventually pass, but it's going to leave untold human wreckage in its wake on both a health and an economic front. Our fellow citizens are going to need the wise advice and calm counsel of lawyers to get through this. In this dangerous time, I'm reminded of Justice Marshall's words. History teaches us that grave threats to liberty often come in times of urgency, when constitutional rights seem too extravagant to endure. That liberty and those rights are protected, are championed by lawyers and by judges. Not everyone can, but if you can, please consider donating your talents to someone who needs you. There's never been a time quite like this, so there's never been a need quite like this. Consider being a champion for justice. Again, I'd like to thank my friends Ben Crump and Darrell Parks and everyone at Legal Services of North Florida and the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee for this tremendous honor. God bless you all, and God keep you and your family safe.
And now it's time to recognize the pro bono volunteers who've given so much of their time and their experience and expertise to serve our communities. In recognition of that service, Legal Services of North Florida provides each individual who took a case on behalf of someone in our community in need with a challenge coin. Legal Aid Foundation provides each individual a pin that recognizes that contribution in much the same way. Before we move forward, I just wanted to give a little bit of history about that challenge coin. The coin itself has legal aid, Legal Services of North Florida on one side and Pro Bono Publica on the other side. But it comes from this tradition of the military and law enforcement communities where a coin is given to show membership in a mission, in an organization, to show achievement and what that achievement has done, and is something that we wanted to use to recognize that contribution on behalf of the volunteers who've given so much of themselves to make justice accessible to all in need.
I received the Legal Services of North Florida Pro Bono Challenge coin, an award given by that organization for taking on at least one case. And one case is easy enough to do, especially in your practice area. I was very proud to get the award, and I'm proud and I will continue to take on at least one case at a time. I would thank Legal Services of North Florida, who I understand actually nominated me for the award, because they have done an extraordinarily good job of not just connecting me with clients who need help, but connecting me with clients within my area of most frequent legal practice and expertise, which makes it much, much easier. And I would encourage lawyers who are looking to do pro bono work or who are willing to do it, to say, I'm happy to do the work. I want it within my practice area. It makes the load lighter. And to that note, when you're doing legal work for people and you're able to provide them with just an ounce of prevention instead of a pound of cure, you're not taking on a case that's going to last for a year and a half. Typically, you're taking on work that's going to cost you 10 minutes of time to give somebody good legal advice to help them avoid larger legal problems. One example that's come up in my case is I talked to I talk to people all the time dealing with difficult circumstances, for example, with a debt collector. Somebody's calling me saying they're going to take my Social Security, and I'm losing sleep over the fact that I'm going to lose my Social Security money. I had that conversation with someone last week, and I told her, well, they're not allowed to take your Social Security. I mean, the law prohibits them from doing that. And that woman is resting easier now, knowing that, and there are some practical things and advice that I could give her on how to make that problem less likely to occur, where they wouldn't even bother trying taking her Social Security money. But in fact, knowing that that money is protected, that she can exempt the funds if they were to try and take it, has her sleeping better now, is my understanding anyway. And so I would encourage people to get with Legal Services of North Florida or any other legal services organization and tell them your practice area and tell them you're willing to help. And they will connect you with people who need help for small bits of time. That's what I have done, and it's been very rewarding. And I would encourage you to do the same.
Happy Law Day! Hi there, I'm Elizabeth Ritchie. Thank you, Legal Services, for my challenge coin recognizing the pro bono work I do for foreign-born veterans in pursuit of citizenship who can't afford legal representation. As attorneys, we have legal and other special skills that are in short supply and high demand, and it's our responsibility to help. In fact, some of the highlights of my career are tied to my pro bono work. Without it, I would not have had the opportunity to represent foreign-born vets in places like Philadelphia, Houston, America Samoa, and of course, all throughout our state of Florida. Receive a $1 million reimbursement to a nonprofit, be quoted in the New York Times and featured on CNN, or make friends with some of my clients, many of whom I consider part of my family. Basically, pro bono work helps ensure access to justice. That's our obligation, can result in priceless PR, and makes for great experiences, meaningful relationships, and hands-on training. Thanks to each of you for doing pro bono, and happy Law Day.
My name is Jamie Ito, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Legal Services of North Florida, and I'm also a volunteer pro bono attorney with Legal Services. And I volunteer because there's a huge need for pro bono work in our community. In Leon County, the poverty rate is higher than the national average, and with poverty comes a myriad of other problems like access to housing and health care and debt collection issues. And so to the extent that the legal community has the tools to fix those problems, I believe it's our moral obligation to do so. I think a lot of us in the legal community enter the profession with the idea that we're going to work in the public interest and help the most vulnerable population. But it doesn't always work out that way. I was lucky enough to work for a public interest nonprofit organization for a number of years, and that's how I came to know LSNF. And I loved the work that I did there, and I loved the work that I did in partnership with LSNF. So even though I'm in a different field now and I really enjoy the work that I do, there's a hole that I need to fill, and I do that through my volunteer work with LSNF.
And LAF would like to take this time to recognize 4 of our amazing volunteers who gave over 100 hours of their time to provide services to our community. So thank you, Carla LaRoche, Harriet Williams, Michaela Davis, and Rashida Rose.
Thank you. I'm Michaela Davis, attorney volunteer with the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee. I've been volunteering with the Legal Aid Foundation of Tallahassee for about 3 years now. I started off in the Thunderdome program, which is a program that helps attorneys who are not experienced in family law learn family law. They have a mentor. There's classes that teaches the attorney how to handle cases at the Legal Aid Foundation. That really helped me advance in taking more cases with the Legal Aid Foundation. So far, I've taken about 4 cases, and they really have impacted me. It was great to see how I could change a person's view from being hopeless or feeling like they're going to give up or that nothing's going to change. It was just very impactful to see that attitude change at the end of the case. For example, one of my clients that I had, she was seeking alimony after being in a long-term marriage. And she told me that she wouldn't have even tried to file for alimony if she didn't have an attorney on the case. So I encourage everybody during these unprecedented times, if you have any extra time, to volunteer with the Legal Aid Foundation or with any foundation or legal aid in your community. I think it will instill a sense of gratitude, especially when we're surrounded by some negative news. Being able to give back to your community will be very impactful for you, just like it was for me.
And now you'll each get to see the list of all the volunteers on your screen. Please take a minute, look at those names, and thank each and every one for what they've given to our community. Much like how we're all responding to the COVID-19 restrictions and crisis, the pandemic has changed how we're working. Separately, we can make an impact for a few, but together we can make an impact for so many. And the same speaks to pro bono work and the work each volunteer and each of you can do within our communities. So keep your eyes and ears open for what those opportunities might be.
Please check out our websites to find out how you can volunteer with our programs or how you can support our work in other ways. We'd like to thank our sponsors who made this event possible today.
And thank you to Silver Digital Media for making this virtual version of the 2020 Law Day possible.
Thank you for joining us today.
And be healthy.